Trigger warning. This episode may discuss one or more of the following topics: violence, death, including that of people of Indigenous descent, war, abuse, medical issues, self-harming behaviour, eating disorder behaviour or body shaming, drug and alcohol addiction, sexual activity, hate speech or strong abusive language, discrimination, and stereotypes. These potential topics have remained part of the episode as it forms part of the interviewee's story, which cannot be accurately told without including such information. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. And welcome to another episode of Spectrum Uncensored. Today I have with me Ange from Newcastle. Thank you for your time today.
Not a problem. Thank you for inviting me.
No worries. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your profession and what it is you do?
I'm a independent support coordinator, so I help people navigate the NDIS because it's really not something that is simple. And I do a little bit of advocacy, help out with like access requests or just general questions because I feel like it shouldn't be this hard. So the more I understand, the more I'm happy to help. So make it a little bit easier. So I work with both adults and children as well.
You'd learn a lot along the way too. Like I know from personal experience, there's just so much to take in with the NDIS, and you're constantly learning. I think like half the time the NDIS doesn't even know what they're doing. Like it's all
No, they don't. They really don't. And it's a battle I like to have. I like to have that battle for people because I know how draining it is, and it depends who you talk to. The amount of times I had one incident where I rang back to back 3 times and I got a different answer every time. And it resulted in a complaint, which is now being resolved. But yeah, it's not for what it was designed for in the beginning, it's a far cry now. So if I can make it a little bit easier for people, then that's great.
It's a little bit like Centrelink, isn't it? When you call people up and it depends on who you talk to as to what the answer is. And then it's kind of like, well, so there's different rules. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's supposed to be black and white, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's like I haven't even touched Centrelink. My special interest area is NDIS, and the constant changes I need to be across, so I outsource Centrelink stuff. No, it's beyond me. I can't do it.
I always say, like, whenever I'm chatting to people about NDIS, I always say that it's written by neurotypicals for neurotypicals, and it's just so confusing. Like, I had my son. He's nonverbal and he's quite high needs, and especially when it comes to things like danger and things like that, he doesn't quite understand the consequences of actions and road safety, things like that. We were trying to get support worker funding for him, and they pretty much turned around and said, well, because he's home all the time and he has 2 parents, you don't need it. And
parental responsibility. It's the same thing with support coordination. Like, it's a hill I will die on, but if you are at the point where you're saying, I need help, please help me, and NDIS will turn around and say, oh, you don't need a support coordinator because it's parental responsibility. You are at the point, you don't have anything left to give, to be researching providers, linking in, creating appointments. Like, it's so backwards. And I've got my head around how it all works now, but it's still it's beyond me. I think they give you a little bit to work with and go, here you go, figure it out. If you don't figure it out, we'll slash it next time. If you do, we'll give you a little bit more. But yeah, it's
literally a full-time job. Like, that's where you come in, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how to coordinate my own life, but I'll help everyone else. That's so fun.
That's such an ADHD thing.
It is. Oh.
So obviously, like, you are neurodivergent yourself. We're having a chat just before we started. So tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, now that I look down my timeline, it all makes sense, especially when my mum says to me in relation to my 2-year-old that, oh, he's just like you when you were that age. And I think, well, cool, the signs were there then. No worries. But I completely cliche, I bombed out on my 30th birthday in 2022. 2022. My 30th party, got blind drunk again, abused my partner, woke up the next day, couldn't remember a thing. And it was kind of that, okay, something's got to change. And I'd kind of been going down the ADHD road. I'd discovered TikTok. So my algorithm adjusted to speak to me. And I'm thinking, okay, they are attacking me. But okay, I'll look into it. Yeah, this is personal. It's uncomfy. I don't like it. But then I booked in with my psychiatrist I booked in October. I met with him in January. And after paying a decent chunk, which was lovely, he assessed me and diagnosed me pretty well by the end of the session. He did say, look, I think there are autism. Was his use of? I feel like he said tendencies, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. He's like, well, treat the ADHD first. I'm like, stunning. Okay, no worries. By like June, I hit hectic burnout. I was a support worker, and I loved the job, loved it so much, but I got to a point. I said to my partner, I'm either going to have to figure out how to do this from behind a computer screen, or I'm going to have to apply for the disability pension because I'm not okay. And in typical me form, I made that happen somehow. And here we are. So
dissociation is just
yeah. If anyone tells me I'm PDA profile, so if you tell me I can't, I'm going to show you that I can. And so I got my autism diagnosis the day before my 31st birthday. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Yeah,
I think I was diagnosed 5 days after my 31st, or was it my 32nd? I don't know.
It's
time just blurs together.
Yeah, it really does. Like I actually said goodbye to my psychiatrist our last session last week, and I nearly cried. I was like, why does this hurt so bad? I'm sure I'll see him again though. But yeah, he's like, oh, this is goodbye then. I didn't know. I hadn't prepared. William?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if that kind of ties into the RSD side of things with the whole, I find myself getting really attached to people once they know me and I'm comfortable with them, and it's like, okay, you actually get me. I get really attached, and then if I have to, it's almost like I just can't say goodbye to somebody, even though I know I need to, or, it's for the best, whatever the case may be. It's really, really difficult to detach from that.
It is, but then that object impermanence comes in, and once they're gone, they're gone. Like, bye. That's why I cut people off so easily. Because if I don't see you, I don't know you exist. And then I will see a person that I've cut off, and I go to be like, oh, hey. And I'm like, oh, that's right. We don't speak. I'll just pretend I didn't see you. So, RSD sucks, but then we're all good. We're all good. After like a period of maybe 3 weeks, but we'll be right. Yeah,
it's probably a bit longer for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Depends. I mean, everybody's different, but it's I don't know. It depends on the relationship, I suppose, that you had with the person too.
Yeah.
And for how long for. But I'm very much like that. If I kind of get a bit of an inkling that the person is not for me, all of a sudden I'm just like, no, okay, goodbye. It's pretty quick and swift. But if it's somebody that I really connected with, it takes a lot longer. But and it's weird.
Even if it is, and it doesn't even have to be a goodbye. I had a friend set a boundary with me, and I spiraled for days. And even now I'm like tiptoeing back because I'm like, what's that metaphor with the dog? And it's like creeping back in. Like, that's me. And now I'm like too scared to say the wrong thing. And I know this person is so open, and we're like great having these chats, but there was this one thing, and I just went, gone. Nah.
I'm very similar. I, as a child, I was always told I was too sensitive and things like that, or I'd take things to heart too much. And, and I was very literal in that, like, I was always told I talk too much. So then I was like, okay, well, I just won't talk then. So I kind of went, I'd go from one to the other. There was no middle ground for me. It was like, you told me I talk too much, so now I'm just going to be quiet. Or
I do that now as an adult. Like, if somebody says that to me, I'm like, well, I'll show you, and I'll just never speak to you again. Like, take that.
Like them apples.
Exactly. exactly. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the
Yes.
tricky part, isn't it? Because I guess that's a bit of where the autism comes into, that whole black and white, literal, strong sense of
Yes.
justice type
Yes.
situation.
Yeah.
I really find it hard if there's no closure with things as well. I just turned into almost like a maniac. Like I'm just searching for that closure, and it's not
Yeah.
because I'm some weirdo stalker or some creep. It's just because I can't comprehend that
I
something's done
I get
if there's no
that.
closure.
I get that. I thought I was a stalker creep, but like in previous relationships, it'd end and I'd just be casually doing drive-bys, just
Yeah.
cruising on past, seeing where you're at, who you with.
Yo,
And I look back, I'm like, Angela, that was so unhinged. What were you doing? Babe.
we get arrested for that. But we
God,
mean well. We mean
you're
well.
really pushing some boundaries there, babe.
That's it. Like it's
Oh,
like there's the line. I'm just gonna step over it a little bit and just see what happens.
yeah. Yeah, whereas now I'm unmasked. I'm like, you want to leave me? Okay, bye.
Yep.
I'll let this fester and I'll deal with it in maybe a year. But for now, see ya. It's so
Yep.
fine.
Yeah, it's just
I'll
like
be okay.
compartmentalized, put that in the background.
Yep.
Can't deal with that right now. There's too much
Yes.
going on. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I can
So,
definitely relate to
yep.
that. And
Yes.
I was reading your profile before we started. You've got children and then neurodivergent too?
I do. And I did it the other way around. I got diagnosed and then I started noticing behaviors, particularly in my eldest, who is 4, nearly 4.5, which is fun when you're both PDA profile autistic. And in my brain, he'll say things, he'll argue with me until he's blue in the face. I could say to him, there's a ball on the ground. And he would be like, no, even though it's quite clearly there in front of us. And in my brain, in my rational brain, I'm thinking, he's 4, he's a child, just let it go. But with my literal thinking brain and my PDA, I'm like, absolutely not. What you're saying is ridiculous. Please stop this. Oh, it's a whole dynamic. It's
It's a
great.
journey. Like
Yeah. Yeah, we
and
both sleep very well
yep.
afterwards.
Yeah. And that's the problem, is that people don't realize just how much of um a complex dynamic there is between a parent and a child that are both neurodivergent, because
Mhm.
there's so much going on for just one particular person. So when you mix the two together, it's just like pure
Yeah.
chaos. And
Yeah.
I mean,
And
yeah,
being that safe space has been, particularly since the end of last year and Christmas, and that abrupt change to his routine and my routine. We were not okay, but I didn't realize until we were right in the thick of it. And even this morning, I've got security camera footage of him screaming while being put in the car that he wants to stay home with mum today. And he's been hanging out with me the last 2 days. And I'm like, buddy, I just need a hot minute. Like, I love you so much, but please go to school. And like, I cannot be that safe space for you because I am about to crumble. Like,
yep.
I need that time. And I guess you don't, until you're in there, you don't really understand how much that just takes from you. Like, the cup's empty. Like, we're like, the bottom of the glass is gone. There's nothing left. And
And
it's so hard.
there's so much going on just to unpack that stuff. Like you're feeling guilty because you can't be their safe place, but
Yes.
then you're feeling annoyed or hard done by, so to speak,
Yeah.
because you don't have a safe space and you're trying to get
No.
your safe space back, but also give them one, and they may not be something you can do at the same time. It's like trying to keep your kid happy and safe at the same time. Mine,
Yes.
it's so difficult. There's such a fine line between safety and happiness for him, and
Yeah.
yeah, unless you live that, you just don't understand it, and
No.
it's draining. Like you get burned out, yet you're still the person. Like you still have to keep going, and you're on fumes, and
Yeah.
you're trying not to traumatize your children,
I know.
or
Yeah.
that generational trauma of
Yes.
passing down your own trauma
Yeah.
through your children, because you
Yeah.
can't deal with it. It's just like,
No.
oh yeah,
Like, I sometimes sit back and think, like, I get it. I understand why I was so difficult, but at the same time, I'm no, you can make the effort to understand and do better and break that cycle. So I'm also, as a 90s child, unpacking some stuff from my childhood as a undiagnosed neurodivergent AFAB human. And yeah, I'm like, I remind myself, I get to apologize. That's the difference. If I pop off and get really upset with him or scream or what have you, throw something, not at him, but like in the general area, I can turn around later and say, I'm sorry, Mummy is sorry that she yelled, Mum's sorry that she got angry, so he doesn't have to go and cry himself to sleep like I did. So that's the difference. And I think, well, you know what, I get to do that, so maybe long term I haven't completely ruined him. I think we're okay.
Yeah.
But he comes in, I'll go and hide under the covers with my headphones on, the pillow on my face, and I just hear this iPad blaring. He's like, hi, Mum. Oh, like, yeah, right.
They're literally the loudest things in the room, yet they hate noise and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's like, how do you do this? Like,
that was yesterday's problem. I can't hear the TV, and so I turned it up. He's like, now my ears hurt. I'm like, sir, please.
Mine too.
Where's the middle ground?
I love that because I call my son sir too. I'm like, excuse me, sir. Can you please turn that down?
Sir. Like, I used to call him Bob. I always said to him, I should have named you Bob, because when he was younger, I'd be like, what's your prob, Bob? Yeah. What is the prob, Bob? Oh, gosh.
It's funny because I don't know if you do it, but I've recently realised that I vocally stim a lot more than I thought I did. Like half the time my life's like a musical. I'll just be singing random made up songs about what I'm doing, or you know, singing to the dog, and I'm just like, what is happening? Like, but
this is my love language. I'm going to write a song about you right now.
Yep. My best friend does the same thing and annoys her kids. Like, they're all neurodivergent, and she'll just sing to them. They're like, Mom, stop. So annoying.
Yeah, Benji, he's not even 2 yet. I started trying to sing Black Velvet to him, and he put his palm up and he said, no. So, first of all, this is extremely disrespectful because this is musical talent. You have no idea. You're obviously not grasping this right now, sir. But other times, like, I know people that follow me on my Instagram will know of what is called the Shower Boys song.
Yep.
It's withstood the test of time. It started when Oliver was very little, and then we've had Benji, and now Benji sings it. The dog gets involved. It's like a rave party. It's great. But
is there video evidence of this? Because I need to see it.
There is actually. It's in one of my highlights. I can provide because I have people message me and they'll say, "Oh, your Shower Boy song got stuck in my head today." I'm like, you're welcome. You are welcome. It gets them in the shower. It gets the job done, and everyone's having a great time. But then I had a TikTok the other day. The theme song from Arthur. That I don't know. What animal is he? I don't know. Something. That was in my head, and I haven't watched it or seen anything about Arthur, and I was just making a smoothie and I was singing it to the dog, and I thought, well, this is great content, so I'm going to put this up.
At least the dog won't tell you to shut up.
No, he's there. He's always ready to party. He's great. But then like 5 people saved it, and now I'm like, oh, okay.
Sounds like we need to tag. Have you ever listened to the guy called the Kiffness?
No.
Where he does, you've got to check that out. He does remixes. So he'll take a song that someone's made up, or someone singing a line, or a cat making a noise or whatever, and turn it into a full-on song. And I swear, like, it's like an ADHD's dream. But he collaborates with people, and now he tours around the world presenting all these songs.
What a dream! That's a very, I thought of this thing I could do, and so now I'm going to do it. And then somehow it just takes off.
Yeah, so. He like has his little, board out, and he'll just start off with, and he can play musical instruments too. He'll like just all of a sudden pick up a random trumpet and just start going for it. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just insane. Wow. It's so cool though, but yeah, like
I would definitely look into that.
Yeah, he did a lot with animals to begin with. Like a cat would make a sound, and it sounded like the cat was saying something, and then he just turned it into a song. And he can sing, so he'll full on go into duets with these animals, and
that is so pure.
It's pretty cool.
Pure. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah,
I will definitely look into that.
Yeah, they're like, why do you watch that? And I'm like, why don't you watch that?
You don't have to understand. Yeah, like, what's your problem? Like, this doesn't sound like a me thing. This sounds like you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like you should be more open-minded.
So we got to do. We'll try and push your shower song to him and see if we can somehow make that happen.
It's going to be amazing. I think, like, if we could get Billie Eilish on board, I think that's what 2024 needs. Like, that's what we need.
100%. I think,
It's going to fix things.
the sky's the limit. Like, I think
Yeah.
anything's possible.
Yeah, I might need to develop some more lyrics, but that's fine. That's fine. I'll put it on my to-do list.
I mean, the Kifis might even just like throw some in himself, so you never know,
I might have to send a letter. I'll send a letter.
Don't do all the work,
That's all right.
Work smarter.
I've given you this. Take it and make something. Thank you.
Make something magical.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so what have you? So you've been diagnosed ASD and ADHD? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. The comorbid's fun. It's so fun.
It is. It's so great. When I got my ADHD and he mentioned it, when I got my diagnosis, I thought it's fine. Like, you know what? I recognize some traits, whatever. But as the medication for ADHD, it's a common thing that I've been reading, because I was like, surely there's some correlation here. Yes, there is. I got to a point I was like, wow, yep, I am autistic. And the more I unmask, I am so unapologetic about it. Like, I feel like my food sensitivities are more prominent. So my partner will cook, because that's the thing too. I regressed and I was like, I don't know how to do that anymore. Thanks for stepping up, mate.
Yep.
And I used to just push through. Like, we would have, say, salmon bowls, and if I had a bone in the fish, I would kind of just push it to the side and be like, oh, he's cooked for me. This is so lovely of you. I just need to eat it. While trying not to project, I'll vomit.
Yep.
Whereas now I'm like, I can't. I'm so sorry. No. But yeah, it's becoming easier to just accommodate myself. And if people don't like it, then that's not a me problem.
It's very common, I've noticed, that people will find out their ADHD first, and then, as you say, you get medicated, and then all of a sudden the TISM comes out.
Yes, the TISM Riz, there it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know, because you've kind of managed to, subdue your ADHD a little bit. It gives the autism a chance to kind of, shine. But so I have noticed that that's common. I'm not medicated for it yet, but my son, he can't take stimulants, and I have a feeling I won't be able to take stimulants either, so it's going to be interesting. I've been trying to get him sorted before I get myself sorted, because we love putting on oxygen masks on other people before ourselves, but whatever.
Yes.
You got to do what you got to do. Like,
we really do. Yeah.
But it's I always ask people when I chat to them, do they think they're more ADHD than ASD or vice versa, because I find I'm more controlled by my ADHD at this point in time, being unmedicated, than my ASD. But do you find that you, as you were saying, like, were you more ADHD, and now that you're medicated, you feel like you're more ASD?
It depends. It's like one of those screeners that you do, and those questions. You're like, what is the context here? Like, what day is it? What time is it? What has happened in the lead up? But I collect acronyms. So as well as ADHD, ASD, I got handed a complex post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis at the same time. Yep. OCD and premenstrual dysphoric disorder was those two I got diagnosed in 2016, but no one flagged it. They're just like, you know what, all the best with that.
I've never heard of it.
The PMDD.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's becoming, I think Angie Kent did a segment on the project about it, I think maybe 2 years ago, and people are looking into it more, but essentially, in a nutshell, it's like PMS on steroids, and after ovulation, your estrogen will plummet, and with that, it'll take dopamine, and so for the 2 weeks before your period, it's like, I'm not me. It could be rage, it could be depression, it could be sometimes like euphoria. It's so wild, and I can never predict it. So around that time, I would say I'm probably more autistic, because the burnout, more susceptible to that lower tolerance of sensory input, which is now currently. I went to Green Hills, a local shopping centre, yesterday, and by the end of it, I felt drunk, because of the lights, the people, the sound. I had to sit in the car before I was confident that I could drive. And I mean, that could have been avoided. I had my sunglasses. I could have been wearing them inside, but then I thought, well, I'm going to look very silly, aren't I? But that's my internalized ableism coming into play.
Yep.
But yeah, then other times for example, when I went independent, I hyperfixated on my website, on my posts, getting everything sorted. So that was very ADHD. And then too much social interaction, I will be very autistic and lying on the floor and have no spoons left for anything. So it varies. It's like a roller coaster.
It is.
Yes.
Not necessarily one you want to actually be on.
No, that's why the people I work with are predominantly late diagnosed AFAB humans, and I'm the one in their corner going, this isn't linear, it fluctuates, I will advocate for you because I know how much it does fluctuate, and that's something NDIS doesn't understand.
I swear you just said fluctuates instead of fluctuates.
Same.
Did you?
Yeah.
That could be a new word.
My symptoms are fluctuating right now. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's a new word. That's
like,
going
how
in.
can I convey this in a manner that you'll understand? Yeah. Yeah. This could be a content post.
That's my new favourite.
Fluctuates.
Yeah, that's my new favourite word.
Flux is out. We don't flux anymore. I need to add that to my content planner.
This is supposed to be serious.
I am very serious. Always.
This is never going to be serious.
No.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Yes. But it's a whole thing.
It is. Yeah. It's true. Like it is. There's so many different things, and people always will, kind of almost try to shame you, like, oh, you've got that many things wrong with you. Like, do you really? Like, is it just, is life too hard for you? Or
you went outside, or you can't come to this birthday party because you went to something that morning. Like, no, I can't. Shut up. So, they don't get it.
Don't want to go.
Oh, no. Yeah, exactly. You're making this like so wholesome and welcoming. I cannot wait to attend your event. But that's one thing I've always said to people who are fairly new on NDIS and recently diagnosed. I'm like, it gets easier to say no and be unapologetic about it. Yeah. So you'll lose people, but it'll make sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, as you say, you lose people, but it does make sense that they never should have been there in the first place. Like that. No. And that's the thing is, I get a lot of people going, oh, I don't want to tell people that my kid is diagnosed or that I'm diagnosed. And I'm like, yeah, but is that because you're feeling a sense of shame and you shouldn't be? Why are you feeling that sense of shame? Is it because you're worried that they're going to shame you? And if they're going to shame you, then why are they still here? Because it's not, you don't need that.
No, I've cut so many people off because of that. And I've let go of the need for long-term humans in my life to understand me and accommodate me. But when it comes to my kids, it's a non-negotiable. You respect them, or you don't get a chance to disrespect them or see them. So
my son's been through a lot of trauma because of his disabilities and everything, and being non-verbal. It's one of those things where I've always advocated for him, but as time goes by, the more angry I kind of get more readily, because it's just like, no, you can't talk to him like that, or no, you can't treat him like that. And like he came home the other day. He loves school, and I don't blame this lady at all. She's new in the classroom, and she was talking to him in that kind of babyish tone, like
the infantilizing.
I always say it sounds very condescending, but I mean, people are not necessarily doing it maliciously. Like, that literally only just met, so I was like, okay, I'm going to just kind of, flag that with the school and say, look, that triggers him. You need to speak to him like he's like anybody else, because he just doesn't talk. He understands you, because the first thing he did was like, nope, I don't like this person. He was so excited to meet her, then she opened her mouth and he was like, hard pass. And then got home and said, oh, I don't like her. And I was like, okay, well, I kind of explained the situation. She doesn't know you yet. I
Mm.
will have a chat to them and let them know that you don't like the way she's talking to you. And she did. I went in today. She had fully adjusted her tone
Yeah,
and was
good.
talking to him like,
Yeah,
you know, she would anyone else. So
good.
it's not always malicious. Sometimes it is. He's had previous experiences where it is, where people are just like, I don't like him or whatever. So he doesn't know what he's saying. He doesn't know what he's communicating. He doesn't know what he wants, and
Yeah,
kind of, I don't know, dumbed him down
yeah.
because they think it's easier that way, but it's really not.
Yeah,
So
it's like it's doing them like a service. I remember when I started in disability support work, I it's something that we're subconsciously conditioned to because I remember feeling like I had to speak to some of the people I worked with in those early days that way, then realizing like just speak to them like anyone else. Like I don't, and I actually had I've connected with a like a employment support service for myself to keep me employed where I'm at. And I noticed the other day when my case person rang me and just the words and the way she was speaking to me, I didn't realize at first. I'm like, she's talking to me like I'm an idiot.
yep,
Like when their paperwork came back, they said that it was intellectual disability, basically, the ADHD and ASD. And I, the way she spoke to me, I felt like saying, it's not that I'm dumb, it's that I don't care what you're telling me right now. Send me an email. I
yeah,
don't, it's not, I'm like, you've rung out of the blue for starters, red flag. Um, Send me an email. Like,
yep.
I'm not absorbing what you're telling me because I don't care, because I'm not
I do the
interested.
same thing. I fall and just zone out and glaze
Yeah.
over.
I'm like, yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, cool. And then when I actually need to care, I'm like, oh, what'd she say? I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. I wasn't
whoops.
following any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yep,
But then, like, you get people. I had my son and I were at Bunnings, and he's shy, which is fine because the world is scary. And he was in the trolley, and this old crusty employee was like, "Oh, hey, buddy, how you going?" And Ollie, was like, and he goes, "Oh, or not." I said, "Oh, well, he doesn't have to talk to you." I
definitely
like
not.
looked him up and down, and just walked away. Ugh. Like, but that's taken. So I actually was talking to someone, his OT on Monday about this because I still get that conditioned. Oh, say thank you, say bye, say
Yep.
hello. Like, if you don't want to, I'm like, I will speak for like, oh, thank you so much. Like, it doesn't need to come from him, and I don't need to tell him to do that. Like I'm like, I'm cracking down on this people pleasing thing because it's taken me
Yep.
31 years. Um, yeah, like learning to make just simple accommodations like that as
Yeah,
well
it's
is
true
very,
because I do the same thing. Like over time, I was like the world's biggest people pleaser, and I'm still really working on that. But I'm getting to a stage now in my life where I'm saying no more and more, and
yeah,
people are just like, "Whoa, what? Like, what's wrong with
yeah,
you? You're saying no all of a
yeah,
sudden. Like, you usually say
yeah,
yes to everything." But
yeah,
I'm the same. I was the same with my son. It was always like, "Say hello," or or say goodbye or say thank you. But now I just say, do you want to say hello? Do you want to say goodbye? And I
yeah,
ask him the question, and he'll, he even says on his talker, he'll be like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay.
yeah,
So,
exactly. It's like
yeah.
the same with hugs. I'm only now honoring that for myself because, like, particularly family, I will hug when I want to hug somebody, but
Yeah.
typically I don't want to. And like growing up, it's something we were taught you had to do out of respect for your elders. Um, but now I'm like, I don't want to hug you. And then my kids will get, oh, can I have a hug goodbye? Or can I have a kiss goodbye? And I'm like, he doesn't want to do that. He'll give you a fist bump,
Yep.
maybe, if you've earned it. But yeah, I'm like, he doesn't want to hug you, so don't force it.
But that's so
Other,
backwards, isn't it? Because it's
yeah,
always like respect your elders and stuff. What about self respect? That's where it should
yeah,
start. Like respecting
yeah,
yourself and your
yeah,
feelings and your emotions and what you feel comfortable with. Like that's
yeah,
where it should start.
yeah,
It
like
shouldn't be.
validating that. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
because
that's what I remind myself. I'm like, we get to change that. We get to
yeah,
change the narrative, which is
that's
fabulous.
true. Yeah,
It sucks and it hurts sometimes, but yeah, yeah,
and that's the thing is, I think that's where it differs from our upbringing is now we are more self-aware and understand why we do what we do, so we're actually able to help our children kind of avoid a lot of the trauma. They're not going to avoid all of it. We're still going to traumatize them somewhere along the line.
Yes.
But like, are you even a parent if you don't do that? But
yeah,
but it's
exactly.
You know, like, it's more selective. It's not just like across the board trauma. It's we're able to kind of help them, I don't know, get more in tune with themselves, so they kind of know where the line is for themselves.
Yeah, and understand it. I had our case person from Northcote here the other day, and Ollie was here, and he was really, I want this, I want this, I want this, and I said to her, I want to accommodate this, and I want to regulate and explain, you know, this can't happen right now because of X, Y, Z. But sometimes he just keeps going, and
Yep.
I don't know what to do with that. And she said, well, sometimes you've got to just assert what you've said, assert the boundary. I said this is how it is, end of story. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's that fine line between accommodating, getting on their level and explaining, providing that perspective, but then there's also, I am the adult here, I am your parent, this is how it is, end of
I've started
story.
doing that a lot. I'm just
Yes.
like, I'm the adult. You're supposed to like, it's not always about you.
I'm like, you don't make
know.
the rules. Get a job. Like, if you want to have a say in this household, why are you slamming doors, sir? Like, you like, please stop.
Maybe that's where we're going wrong. We've like knighted them.
This entitlement, this sense of superiority. Oh no.
Oh well, we can't go back in time. So
oh well, the next generation, their children will sort that out. That's all good. No
Next
knighting.
No, we're gonna have to put that in the manual.
Yes, I should write a book. No night.
Oh dear. But if you had some advice for anybody who's undiagnosed but suspects they are on the spectrum, what would you say to them?
I'm always telling people, if it's not a problem, self-diagnosis is valid. So if it's not a problem, if you can sit with it, learn how to make yourself accommodations, understand your traits and symptoms and that sort of thing, do that. Because it's not an accessible thing to get diagnosed. It's a massive privilege, and it's very expensive. Which sends me when people say, oh, everyone's getting diagnosed these days. Yeah, like, it's cost me a lot of money, but okay. But if it is a problem, then, and you're beginning to struggle, definitely link into some services, because once you do get that point of struggle, it doesn't just get better. Like, it feels like it might, but it doesn't. But there are services out there, and you'll also find your people as well. So it does seem scary, and it's hard for me to go back and reflect at the beginning of my journey, because I'm over a year into it now, and I look at old photos, I'm like, I don't know who that is. But yeah, it's a journey. So, but you're not alone. That's the main thing too, which sounds so cliche, but yeah, you're definitely not. There's more. You can kind of tell who is and who isn't neurodivergent.
Yeah. I think it's I always say it's kind of like the gaydar, but it's, you know, a spectrum thing. I call it the spectrum detection, because it's just like, as soon as you start, you don't even have to talk to someone these days. You can just see them walking along, or even the way, like, I don't want to profile, but sometimes it can be the way they dress, or I don't know, just the way they hold themselves. I don't know.
Like, I can see that person is fluctuating right now. Like, they're definitely neurodivergent.
Me too, boo. Me too. I'm right there with you.
Oh, like the slap on the chest, like, yeah, I see you. Yep.
Should have some like fluctuation raves or something.
We need a handshake that isn't touching a hand or another body part, just like some sort of.
It's like gang signs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gang signs.
Yeah. I'll work on that. I'll collab with the people I have. And we'll talk. I'll send a newsletter. Yeah, it'll be a newsletter.
Well, thank you so much for chatting to me today. It's been amazing, and
thanks for having me.
I welcome you as another one of my people.
Yes, I like that I can have like a space to completely talk rubbish, and it's just like entertained and welcomed. So
it's 100%.
I usually do that for free on my Instagram, but now we've advanced.
I just meet some awesome people, so I feel really privileged to be able to chat to everyone. But yeah, thank you very much for popping in and having a chat, and it's been good to have a laugh.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for waiting for me. I know it took like 6 months, but here I am.
It's all right. I've put so many people off because of all these things. It's just life. It's life.
Yeah.
There's not much we can do about it. Go with the flow, right?
That's it. It all works out eventually.
Even if it's whitewater rapids, just
like it's all good. Just meditate. It's so fun.
Something like that.
It's gonna be fine.
I'll speak to you again soon.
Awesome. Talk to you then.
Bye.